those songs, He will never fail. God, have I put my trust in other things that always failed me, but Jesus has never failed me, not once. My name is Lori. I am a grateful, recovered alcoholic. And I follow Jesus Christ because He is the way, the truth, and the life, and there is no way to God but through Him. Welcome to Recovery Church. We're so glad you're here. We're going to go over who we are. We are the Recovery Church. We're discipling and sponsoring others to grow in their relationship with Jesus Christ, who is our hope and the bedrock of our faith. The Bible is inspired Word of God that reveals His standard for what we believe, teach, and do. Prayer is powerful. Oh my gosh, prayer is powerful. It's essential in our lives, and it connects us with God and gives us direction when helping others. We work the 12 steps and the principles that support them while participating in other programs of recovery. And finally, we will be known for our love, because faith without works is dead, right? And so we have a little bit of house cleaning. There's a couple Harvest houses here in the house. Give them a round of applause. They come pretty faithfully every week, so we're so grateful that you're here. We also have Exodus is in the house, Project Exodus in the back. So if you don't know who they are like us, out of the recovery community, and they decided they wanted to do something for those because some of them nobody helped them out. Like, what? And so they decided that they were going to make T-shirts, and the money from that, they were going to help other people. That's amazing, right? And so tonight, they have the T-shirts back there, and they're $20, and most of that money goes to help others. If you have a need, you can talk to them as well. Saturday night, they actually have a meeting. It's a recovery meeting. It is 7 o'clock Saturday nights at the Tuttle Salvation Army Church. And they usually have a bunch of different topics. It's not AANA or any of the other. It's all encompassing. And it helps us live life together and teach us things that, some of us don't know, right? Like, we need help sometimes. I know I do. They also have T-shirts online for sale. There is a fentanyl walk September 1st in Sarasota. The very first. Give it up. Too many people are dying, right? So September 1st, they have a T-shirt you can buy, 3 different colors. They also have a hurricane relief T-shirt online that they just put out to help those that have been affected by the hurricane. And they have a GoFund for some of the houses that got totally flooded, and the girls lost everything, their clothes, everything. So just putting that out there. If you have any questions, Andrew and Susie, all the helpers are there. They're happy to talk to you and help you out. And just a quick housekeeping, please be mindful of your drinks and your food and help clean up a little bit your area after you leave. Smoking is definitely just in the back. And we thank you for being in God's house tonight, and we respect that. Also, let's respect the speaker. If you've got to get up and use the restroom or whatever, please do it, discreetly. And if you're on your phone, I can see you if you're on your phone up here, and it's distracting, actually. So just an hour. What's an hour, right? To fill your heart and your mind with some good stuff. So we do have an offering that we're going to go around. We have ministry expenses. If you can pitch in, great. If not, that's okay. We're going to pray right now. Father, thank you for the resources to honor you, giving these blessed offerings that they may impact others to experience your love. We ask these things in your Son's name, Jesus. We got tons of meetings here, like tons. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So if you want to know more about it, ask somebody with a recovery T-shirt or a black T-shirt. We're happy to help you find a meeting that's right for you. So while that's going around, the only meeting that we're not doing over the summer is the Sunday night principal approach. We're taking a back seat on that one until after the summer's over, and then we might continue with that or do something different, just so you know. And then, of course, I have to plug Girls Fat Book Friday. I mean, come on. It's amazing. So anyway, we have NA meetings, AA meetings, and recovery with meetings that have both Christ and the Bible that helps us with our A's. So we're very blessed that we have a great team here. We have a lot of different kind of speakers, but we all have the same great message that recovery does work, and it will work for you if you want to work it. And so we try to go through the steps and the principles, and we always put Christ back in where he belongs, in the middle of recovery, right? Can't do it without him. And so Les is one of our great speakers. Give him a round of applause.
Now, y'all got it wrong. This is a round of applause. My name's Les, and I am a recovered alcoholic. I'm also a minister because I believe Christ, in my personal opinion, is the key, or was the key, still is, to my recovery. Ignore the dirt. This thing goes places no laptop should go. I want to do a couple different things tonight. I want to start out by praying. I'd like it if you'd all join me. Father, we come before you tonight, having survived a couple interesting days. And so we would ask you for your blessing. We'd ask you for your grace and mercy on those people that were basically flooded out of their homes. Some of those people are people that we know, but so many people were hurt, lost everything. And so we don't ask for you to keep the hurricanes away, because we know that's not how you work. But what we are asking for is that you give us the ability to walk through this stuff, to not dwell on the negative. Strengthen us, give us courage, touch our hearts, and keep us going. And those of us that didn't lose anything over this last couple days, I'd ask that you touch our heart to give, to help people that need to be helped, to give a place to stay to the people that have been displaced. We ask for your gifts for these last 2 days to help us recover, because we love you. We thank you for your grace, your mercy. We thank you for always being there, even when we don't see you. We thank you for your forgiveness. We thank you for the gift of recovery. We thank you for the people that lead Recovery Church in all of the locations across the United States. We thank you every time you touch our hearts. We pray all of these things tonight in your Son, Jesus Christ's name. Amen. Interesting couple days, wasn't it? Yeah. Interesting. Good word for it, interesting. Y'all know that's a Chinese curse? May you live in interesting times. Interesting isn't always good. But I'll tell you what, I wasn't bored over the last couple days. How about y'all? I was watching my backyard. I got a lake behind my house, and it likes to creep up onto my backyard. And during a hurricane, my wife and I lost everything because it decided to visit. It's not clean water. So pray for those people that you know that have been yanked out of their homes. They need us. And I'm actually going to touch on that topic tonight. Second thing I'm doing different is I brought my laptop on here because I've got a lot of notes. And I can't read them on this. So I brought this because I can make the text bigger. Tonight, I want to talk about step 8. Does that surprise anybody? No, good. It shouldn't. So tonight, I want to talk to you about what step 8 is. But I'm going to start out by telling you what step 8 is not. Over the years in recovery, I've sponsored a lot of people. And I also try and remember what it was like when I first got here and when I first went through the steps. I try and remember what that last day out there felt like. I don't want to forget those things, because if I forget those things, half of my usefulness is gone. And so we don't remember those things to feel guilt or feel shame, to feel pain. We remember those things because those are the things that qualify us to help new people coming into these rooms, whether it's NA, AA, Celebrate Recovery, Recovery Church, it doesn't matter. Everything out there about recovery. This works because we've been where the newcomer is. And so we can understand things that a guy would, or gal, in the right place. It still just seems like they're a little bit, you know what I mean? their heart's in the right place. But there's just part of this disease they will never get. So everybody that speaks here is one of us. So what is step 8 really about? I've noticed going through the steps, myself included, that when we're on a particular step, tell me if I'm wrong, some part of my mind is focused on one or more steps further down the chain. Tell me I'm wrong. We do step 2, and we're really thinking about step 3, even though we're on step 2. We do step 4. There's part of my mind that's thinking, there's no way I'm going to sit down with another guy and tell him this stuff. And it generates fear, and it will keep me from putting things down in my 4th step. Am I wrong?
No, you're right.
Everybody? What about 6 and 7? 6 is about meditating on a decision. It's not about doing step 7, and yet it's like we blow through 6 to get to 7 because we really want to get to that step. Tonight I'm going to talk about that existing in steps 8 and 9. So, with that said, step 8 is not about making amends. What step is about making amends? 9. So if your head is going to, man, I'm thinking about how am I going to make that amends? Stop it. You got to finish step 8 first. And here's one that really surprises me. How many of us come in here thinking that making amends is about being forgiven? No. It is the farthest thing. Forgiveness, well, what's amends? Amends is compensation. Amends is atonement, recompense, restitution. Okay? Remember the 7 doors? I owe, so off to work. Well, I'll tell you what, we get 1 through 7, and we've cleaned up in here. Anybody out there when they were drinking, using, did not leave any wreckage behind them. I'm still looking to meet that person. There's got to be one on the planet. I just haven't found one yet. I'm not it. So making amends isn't about forgiveness. Step 8 is about making a list. You guys familiar with step 8? Does anybody actually write it? First 3 words. Everybody with me. Made a list. That was lame. Try it again. Made a list. So what are we going to step 8? Make a list. Is that too simple for some people here tonight? Y'all know how to do that? How many people here have ever gone, I don't know, grocery shopping? Yeah. Come on. Some of y'all are just saying, I don't want to raise my hand because I don't want anybody to know I'm here. Stop it. Come on. No. Make a list. Why do you make a list? So you don't forget. See, when I get to step 9, if I didn't make a list in 8, I might forget some of those people that I was thinking about when I was trying to identify who I owed. And we'll talk about what we owe in a minute. See, we have to actually look at why we're doing step 9 in order to help us identify what we need to make a list of in step 8. So there is some overlap. If you read the big book Alcoholics Anonymous, it says we're doing step 8 and 9. It doesn't differentiate between the two. Okay? I'm going to differentiate because Bill was pretty good. Step 2, getting ready for 3. Step 4, getting ready for 5. Step 6, getting ready for 7. Step 8 is about getting ready for 9. Let's do the prep work. In my business, what I did for over 40 years, I can tell you that if I did not plan out what this thing was supposed to look like before I built it, it usually didn't go well. How many people we got in here in construction? You ever built a structure without some kind of plans? Why not? Because this guy's going to do this to that wall, and that guy's going to do that to that staircase, and by the time you're done, it's going to look like the Winchester Mystery House. You're going to have doors that open to nothing and stairways that go to nowhere. So you got to plan it out. So step 8's planning. So it's about making a list. Step 8, made a list. Pretty straightforward. We've covered that, right? Everybody got the made a list thing? Okay, moving on. I should probably be doing this. There you go. Made a list. Okay, what are we going to make a list of? This thing is slow, so I'm tapping and it's going, oh, you mean the next one? It's not the machine that's broke, it's an operator error, bear with me. Only been doing computers for 5 decades, so I'm still a little new to this. So, everybody we've harmed. We're going to take a look at how we define the people we've harmed in a minute. Okay? We're going to dig into every one of these pieces. And we became willing to make amends. Haven't we already covered that as a principle in one of the previous steps? Anybody remember what step that was? You guys can't answer the question. You all already know, so keep your mouth shut. Bob. He's giving me the look. What step was that? Willingness. Thank you. That was the principle behind step 6. Willing to do what? Change. Step 7. Each one of these requires me to be willing to do the action step. So I have to be willing to make amends. I have to be willing to make amends to who? Everybody. Not just some of them. The common ones. Going to make amends to mom and dad. And you probably did that right after you did step 1. And it didn't turn out very well. Some of you are laughing like, I remember that. Yeah. You know why it didn't turn out too well? You haven't changed yet. We have pretended to be sincere, and in a lot of cases we've been sincere, but we didn't have the ability to carry through. And until I finish step 7, I don't have the ability to carry through. That's why this is step 8 and not step 4. I got to fix me first before I can fix the mess that I made. So, who are we going to make amends to? Everybody. Even the drug dealer that I ripped off. I like throwing these in because some of you just cringed. Some of you just cringed. I said willing. I didn't say we were going to go make amends to all these people. I said we had to be willing to make amends to all of them. You guys with me? When we get to 9 next month, I'll talk about some of those caveats. But right now, what step are we talking about? 8. And it says, I got to be willing to make amends to them all. If any of my guys say, I'm not willing to do that one, you know what my answer usually is? Oops. My answer is, you're going back to step 4. Why would I send them back to step 4? See, in 4 and 5, I needed to have forgiven those people. I can't be holding on to the anger. And if I'm not going to make amends to somebody because I'm upset with them, you missed something. And if I'm your sponsor, you're going back to step 4. How many people in here are glad I'm not their sponsor? I knew I'd get some hands up on that one. I take some of this stuff kind of seriously because it saved my life. The NA text in chapter 4 introduces step 8 with this quote. Step 8 is the test of our newfound humility. You're going to go before people that you have wronged, and you're not going to ask for forgiveness. In step 9, you're going to ask a very specifically worded question about how you're going to fix it. Not fix them. Fix what you did wrong. That's going to take some courage. What step was that one? Somebody knew the one for 6. Somebody's got to know the one for 4. All right. 5 was integrity. You're going to need both of those to do this. 6 was you're going to need that to do this. And 7 was humility. That means lack of ego, lack of pride. You're going to have to swallow Captain Macho and go before these people and humbly ask them how you can fix what you broke. You're going to need every principle you have covered before you get to these 8 and 9. This says, though, freedom from the guilt. How come when I finished 6 and 7, I still felt guilty? And the answer is because I still had wreckage. There were people that if I saw, even after 7, if I saw them in the aisle in the supermarket, I'd be tempted to go the other direction. I didn't want to face them. Used to be angry at them. Now I feel humiliated. Not humble. I feel humiliated. I do not want to see this person. Means I got some guilt. Guilt generates fear. Guilt generates anger. Guilt generates a lot of things. Things that we're trying to get rid of that we ask God to take away in step 7. I love this quote from the NA book. By the way, if you're one of my sponsees or one of my students, you're reading both books. They're not diametrically opposed. There's a line in the big book on page 58 that says this. Tell me if you've heard this before. If you have decided you want what we have, anybody heard this? You know how this one goes? And you are willing to go to any length to get it, willing to go to any length to get it, then you're ready to take certain steps. It further says that some of these we balked. I'm not making amends to that guy. I still want to shoot that guy. And step 4, you're going back. We thought we could find an easier, softer way, like just ignoring it. It's history. I don't have to deal with it. It's all water under the bridge. Why should I have to go dig that stuff up again? It has nothing to do with the other person. It has to do with you carrying around this guilt. It will affect how you think, what you believe, and how you act. Jesus had something to say about this. Does that surprise anybody? Just asking. With all the earnestness of our command, we beg of you to be fearless and thorough from the very start. Some of us have tried to hold on to our all the ideas, and the result was nil until we let go absolutely. So, how far are you willing to go? And what are you willing to do? How did you answer the question when you first got here and some idiot with smiles on their face, happy, joyous, and free, and you just wanted to slap them because you didn't feel happy at all. And they said, what are you willing to do? And what did you say? That's the pat answer, right? Anything. We're going to test that theory. Are you really willing to do anything? Because this is where the rubber hits the road, y'all. This is where I have to practice what I preach. This is where works starts. Because nobody's going to know my faith except by my works. No, that's not a direct quote. It's a paraphrase, but I can tell you where it is in the Bible. And we say that every time we get together, every Tuesday night. Faith without works is? Why? It's real simple. How do you know if I've accepted Christ if I'm still acting like the same jerk I was acting like 30 years ago? I sit in church for an hour and a half, and then I go out there and drive like a maniac, flip people off, cut people off. Which would have actually been an improvement on how I used to drive. Because I like driving large vehicles. They can push small vehicles. So it's your mess. Who should clean it up? Yeah, I made the mess. It's my responsibility to clean it up. 76 in the big book says this: we have a list of all persons we have harmed and to whom we are willing to make amends. We made it when we took inventory. You guys remember? When I covered this back in April. Is April the fourth month? I think it's January, February, March. I'm new to math. Stay with me, all right? I'm a little slow. So we did step 4, and there were 6 questions the big book asks us in step 4. If you didn't know there were 6 questions, you need to go back and reread 64, 65, 67, and 69 in the big book. There are 6 questions. And the 4th question was, what did Les do? I didn't want to look at that. I wanted to blame the other guy. I don't want to look at my part in this. By the way, some old-time AA people, you say, well, that's my part. They'll go, that's not what it says. It's called semantics, and I don't play that game. Yeah, it was your part in it. So, what do? Well, here's the bad news for you. You probably have other people you've hurt and things you've done wrong to other people that were not covered in your 4th step. Anybody discover that? Any gone through that? You doing a list for step 8 and you realize that there were some people on this list that were not in your 4-step list? If you didn't, come talk to me. We'll discuss it after tonight. I'd show you, man. I might upset some people tonight, but after tonight, they'll probably never ask me to come back and speak. Most of us owe, this is right out of the big book. Most of us owe money. We do not dodge that responsibility. I'm not going to talk to you tonight about how to make that amends. We're looking tonight at what we need to make amends for, because we need to generate a list. I know I'm saying this list thing a lot, but I really keep this simple, y'all. We're on the make a list step. That's all we're doing. We're making a list. 9 is the action step. This is the prep step. So who do I owe money to? Credit cards? Those are the tough ones because they mess with our credit score. But what about owing money to, I don't know, parents, friends? How many times have we borrowed? Dude, loan me a couple $100 till like next Friday when I get paid. And we forget about those. But when I'm working with somebody, they need to take some time and write this list because they need to try and remember those. Are you going to remember all of them when you're making this list? No. We'll cover that when we do step 10. So I'm making a list of the ones I can think of right now. And that doesn't mean, just like, okay, I'm going to give this 30 seconds. No. We're going to do some work on this. I've actually sat down with my guys, and we've done this list because I like to ask pointed questions. Here's one people don't like to face. This is in the big book, Alcoholics Anonymous. Maybe we've committed a crime. It might land us in jail. If it were known to the authorities. Needs to go on your 8-step list. You need to be willing to make that amends. Did I say we're going to make amends for everything on the 8-step list? Did I say that? But if it's in here and it's in here, it needs to go here. Write it down. Just stop thinking about step 9, y'all. Knock it off. Some of you are getting really uncomfortable. You're getting squirrely in your seat. Kind of like I used to. There's also a possibility, just a slim possibility, I'm being facetious, that we've had domestic troubles. It says perhaps we are mixed up with somebody other than our significant other, somebody other than our spouse, in a fashion we wouldn't care to have advertised. This was probably the hardest thing for me to do because I was that guy. My addictions were alcohol, sex, and cocaine in that order. And I am not proud of that. That's really the one that haunts me. And that'll make some more sense as we get further into this. What other damage can we do? Physical. Maybe we physically hurt them. Mental anguish, emotional damage, spiritual damage. Maybe we stole their self-esteem, their serenity, their trust. Maybe we even stole their sobriety. It's not always about money. In what way did I hurt somebody? Don't worry about how to make amends. We'll talk about it later. What if we don't like somebody? We got to approach them. Put them on the list. We're not making the amends today. We're making a list today. Now, here's something I'd like you to focus on. You've heard it said, you shall love your neighbor and hate your enemy. I didn't make this up. Jesus said, but I say to you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you, so that you may be sons of your Father who is in heaven. And that's why, if you're one of my people and you still have an issue with one of the people you got to make an amends to, I'm yanking you back to step 4 because you didn't get this message. If I'm a Christian and I'm going to live a Christian lifestyle, that means I need to pay attention to what Christ taught. Christ taught this. If I'm still holding a grudge, I got to go back and take care of it, and that is done in steps 4 and 5. How many of y'all are still happy you're not one of my sponsees? I screw up a lot, y'all, but I will make amends when I catch myself, and I do not like making amends. I'm sorry, there's still part of me that says, dude, that really sucks. Don't make that mistake. Unfortunately, my mouth has gotten me in so much trouble over the years, and it still does. Big book on 79. We ask that we be given the strength and direction to do the right thing no matter what the personal consequences may be. Because we're not making the amends yet, are we? But it also goes on to say we might lose our position. We might lose our reputation. We might face jail time. But we are willing to look at these things. Why? I did it. Remember, step 9, it's about restitution. It's not easy, you all. This is not an easy step. This is work, and I know a lot of people that have blown a lot of this off, and it shows. It really does. It says, every A has found that he can make little headway in this new adventure of living until he first backtracks and really makes an accurate and unsparing survey of the human wreckage he has left in his wake. Most of my wreckage that I left behind was emotional wreckage, stealing trust, stealing self-esteem. I was a liar, a cheat, and a thief, and most of what I stole was not physical. I stole things that I can't. How do you make amends for stuff that you here's your self-esteem back? That's tough. So who have we harmed by these actions? But in closing, I want to ask you this question. Who have you harmed with your inaction? It's not just about who did I go out there and harm. It's about who did I harm even with inaction. And for this one, we're going to the Bible. You jot it down if you want. This is in Matthew 25. Jesus is hanging out with the boys and a couple girls. And he's sharing some different pieces of information. And one of them I quoted tonight because it is directly related to our topic. It's kind of long, so bear with me. You'll get the point in a second. When the Son of Man comes in his glory and all the angels with him, then he will sit on his glorious throne. We're going to refer to him as the King in a second. Before him will be gathered all the nations, and he will separate people one from another as a shepherd separates the sheep from the goats. And he's going to put the sheep on the right side and the goats on the left side. The right side is the good side. The left side is the bad side. Sheep tend to be meek. Goats, not so much. A little bit more independent, like some of us are when we're out there. Then the king is going to say to those on his right side, the sheep, "Come, you who are blessed by my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world. For I was hungry, and you gave me food. I was thirsty, you gave me drink. I was a stranger, and you welcomed me. I was naked, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you visited me. I was in prison, and you came to me." Now, they're a little surprised by that. And they say to him, "Lord, when did we see you hungry?" Y'all can read this, right? I don't have to quote it. "We didn't see you hungry or thirsty. We didn't see you as a stranger. We didn't see you naked. We didn't see you sick or in prison. When did we do that for you?" Here's the message I want you to take with you tonight. And the king will answer them, "Truly I say to you, as you did to one of the least of these my brothers, you did it to me." How do you treat the people around you? It's not just about hurting them by action, but what about hurting them by inaction? Do you say hi to the person in the walker or the wheelchair, or you just go by them and you don't look? Person on the street corner, do we assume that if we give them something, they're going to go get drugs and alcohol? Because if I stop and give them money, it's not my money, it's God's money. And it's not me judging what that other person is going to do with that money. That's God's deal. And yet we do this every day. And today we have people that are homeless because of the weather from the last couple of days. Do we give it lip service? Or do we actually go try and find these people and help them? Is this scaring anybody? Then he's going to turn to those on the left, and he's going to say, "Depart from me, you cursed, into the eternal fire prepared for the devil and his angels." I typically don't preach about this part, but y'all need to know this, because I've said over and over and over that the key to the message in the Bible is we're supposed to love each other. That means we take care of each other. We care about each other. Yes, I am my brother's keeper. And I don't just lean down to help somebody who's in a hole. When's the last time you walked down the street and somebody was walking toward you and they got their eyes down because they don't want to make eye contact? I'm the idiot that will say hello to them. But do we go down the street like this, ignoring the people around us? For I was hungry, and you gave me no food. I was thirsty, and you gave me no drink. I was a stranger, you didn't welcome me. Naked, you didn't clothe me. Sick and in prison, and you didn't visit me. And guess what they're going to ask? Well, Lord, when did we see you in prison, without clothing, with no food? When did we see you in these situations? And he says, truly I say to you, as you did not do it to one of the least of these, you did not do it to me. How do we treat the people around us? And these will go away into eternal punishment, but the righteous into eternal life. Step 8 is not just about who we hurt by our actions, but who we hurt by inaction. My sponsees, the first thing I tell them about step 8, you're going to put on here everybody you've ever had contact with. We remember the ones that we did like really overt. But do you remember the rest of them? Are you ready and willing to make restitution? That's really the question. Are you ready? I have run over and I've gotten the sign. I'm surprised the hook hasn't come out of the corner yet because I am way over. Step 8 is about getting ready to make restitution, and step 9 is about making restitution. It's not about me and forgiving. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm not asking for favors. And step 9, when I talk to you about step 9, my personal feeling on step 9, which I take directly out of the big book and directly out of the Bible, is not fun. But I'll tell you this. It is freedom. It is freedom. Because I did what Christ taught me to do, and just like that quote from the NA book, I can now hold my head high without guilt and without fear. How far are you willing to go for your recovery? Hang around. God bless you.